The council chamber floated in the void between stars, a massive station where 1,000 species gathered to maintain peace. Today that peace was breaking. Elder Torin stood before the assembled delegates, his thin frame trembling. The Velrun were a gentle people, farmers and artists who had never raised weapons in their 3,000-year history. Now his world was burning. "Please," Turan's voice cracked through the translator. The Krell came without warning. "Our cities are ash. Our people are dying. We beg for assistance." Council Speaker Ven, a crystalline being whose form refracted light into rainbow patterns, gestured toward the gathered assembly. "The council hears your plea. Who will answer?" The Milix delegate rose first. "We offer medical supplies and ships to evacuate your wounded." "Diki, Torvin Union pledges food and temporary shelter," another voice called out. "We can provide diplomatic channels to negotiate with the Krell," a third species offered one by one. The civilized species of the galaxy extended their aid. Medicine, supplies, refugee camps, words of peace and negotiation. This was how the galaxy worked. This was how conflicts ended. Ambassador Lisa Grant sat in the human section, a small delegation from a species barely known to most of the council. Earth had joined the galactic community only 5 years ago. The humans were still learning the proper ways of civilization. Lisa stood. The chamber quieted. Humans were strange to look at. Bilateral symmetry like many species, but built dense and heavy. They came from a world the galaxy had classified as a Class 12 death world, though few understood what that truly meant. "Earth will respond," Lisa said simply. Speaker Ven's form pulsed with approval. "What aid does humanity offer?" "We're sending ships. Transport vessels for evacuation?" Ven asked. "No," Lisa replied. "Warships." "Our full battle fleet." The chamber erupted in confusion. Warships? The concept was nearly forgotten among most species. Conflicts were resolved through economic pressure, diplomatic sanctions, or at worst, blockades. Actual combat was barbaric, a relic of primitive times. "Ambassador Grant," Ven's voice carried a note of concern. "Perhaps you misunderstand. The Velrun need humanitarian aid, not military escalation. We must negotiate with the Krell, find a peaceful resolution." "The Krell opened fire on civilian populations," Lisa said flatly. "They ignored all diplomatic channels. They're not looking for peace." "Then we will impose sanctions, create economic pressure, while more Velrun die?" Lisa's voice hardened. "No, we received a distress call during an active invasion. Earth responds appropriately." Before the council could continue the debate, space itself seemed to tear open. The human fleet arrived. 50 vessels emerged from faster-than-light transit at the system's edge. They were nothing like the elegant, curved ships of other species. Human ships were angular, armored, covered in weapons that served no purpose but destruction. Their hulls were scarred and reinforced. Their design screamed violence. On the flagship bridge, Captain Marcus Webb studied the tactical display. A career soldier from Earth's unified military, Marcus had fought in the border wars and the Pacific conflicts. He understood violence in ways the galaxy had forgotten. "Status?" Marcus asked. "Krell forces are bombarding the 4th planet," his tactical officer reported. 30 Krell warships. "They're targeting population centers. Any response to our hails?" "They're demanding we leave their conquest zone immediately, sir." Marcus nodded slowly. Around him, his crew worked with practiced efficiency. These men and women came from a world where nature itself tried to kill you, where diseases evolved faster than cures, where predators hunted in packs and storms could level cities, where gravity was so strong that most aliens needed powered suits just to stand. Earth had shaped humanity in ways the galaxy couldn't comprehend. It had made them survivors, warriors, killers when necessary. "Send a message to the Krell," Marcus ordered. "They have 1 hour to withdraw and surrender. After that, we will remove them." In the council chamber, delegates watched the human fleet advance toward Krell positions. No negotiations, no sanctions, no diplomatic dance. Speaker Ven finally understood what the classification Death World truly meant. It wasn't just about dangerous flora and fauna. It was about what such a world created. The galaxy had evolved on paradise worlds, where cooperation and peace were natural. Humans had evolved in hell, and hell had taught them lessons the galaxy had never learned. The countdown began. War Master. Drek studied the approaching human vessels with contempt. The Krell Dominion had conquered 17 systems in the past decade. No species had seriously resisted. The galaxy was soft, weak, easily broken. These humans were no different. "Ignore their threats," Drek ordered from his command throne. "Continue bombardment of the Velran cities. These newcomers will retreat once they understand our strength." His subordinate shifted nervously. "War Master, their vessels are heavily armed. Perhaps we should what? Fear primitives from an unknown world?" Drek's scales rippled with anger. The Krell bowed to no one. "If they interfere, we will add Earth to our list of conquests." The hour passed. The human fleet did not retreat. Captain Marcus Webb watched the countdown reach 0. The Krell had made their choice. He felt no satisfaction, no excitement. Only the cold certainty of necessary action. "All ships," Marcus spoke into the fleet channel. "Execute combat protocols. Rules of engagement are weapons-free on all Krell military targets. Avoid collateral damage to Velran population centers. Make it quick." What happened next would be analyzed by military historians for generations. The human ships moved with frightening coordination. They didn't announce their attacks. They didn't posture or display strength. They simply executed their mission with brutal efficiency. Railgun rounds, solid metal accelerated to a fraction of light speed, tore through Krell shields like they didn't exist. The aliens had never encountered kinetic weapons with such velocity. Their defensive systems were designed for energy weapons, slow-moving missiles, predictable attack patterns. Humans fought differently. 3 Krell destroyers vanished in the first 30 seconds, their hulls ruptured by weapons that hit before sensors could even detect the launch. The human ships used Earth's high gravity to their advantage. Their crews could withstand acceleration that would kill most species. They maneuvered with impossible speed, turning their vessels into weapons themselves. War Master Drek stared at his tactical display in disbelief. "What are they doing? How are they moving so fast?" "They're pulling 12 standard gravities in those turns," his sensor officer reported, voice shaking. "Nothing should survive that. Their crews should be dead." But humans weren't like other species. Earth's crushing gravity had built their bodies dense and resilient. What killed others merely strained them. A human frigate, small by fleet standards, engaged 3 Krell cruisers simultaneously. It should have been suicide. Instead, the frigate danced between their fire, its point defense system shooting down incoming missiles while it returned fire with precision strikes. Within minutes, all 3 cruisers were disabled, their weapon systems destroyed, their engines dead. The humans weren't trying to annihilate the Krell. They were surgically dismantling them. In the council chamber, delegates watched in stunned silence. This wasn't war as they understood it. The Krell were a fearsome military power, conquerors who had broken entire civilizations, yet the humans were systematically destroying them. "They're not even using their full strength," a military analyst whispered. "Those are defensive maneuvers. They're protecting the Velran world while neutralizing threats." Elder Torin watched with tears streaming down his face. His people were being saved. But the cost, the violence, the destruction, it was beyond anything his peaceful culture could comprehend. Ambassador Lisa Grant stood beside him. "I know this is hard to watch," she said quietly, "but sometimes peace requires protection, and protection requires strength." On the flagship, Marcus received reports from across the battlefield. The Krell were breaking formation, their ships attempting to retreat. They had finally understood what they faced. "War Master Drek is hailing us," communications reported. "He's requesting terms of surrender." Marcus considered for a moment. The Krell had murdered thousands of Velran civilians. They had ignored every diplomatic channel. They had chosen violence. Tell him the terms are unconditional surrender. All Krell forces will power down weapons and engines. They will submit to galactic justice for war crimes. They have 10 minutes to comply. "And if they refuse?" his first officer asked. Marcus's expression remained cold. "Then we finish this." 8 minutes later, the Krell fleet went dark. 30 warships, once the terror of this sector, floated helpless in space. Human Marines would board them soon, securing the vessels and taking prisoners. The entire engagement had lasted 47 minutes. The galaxy had just learned an important lesson. Humanity didn't come from a world that taught peace through philosophy. Earth taught survival through strength. It created beings who understood that sometimes the only way to stop violence was with overwhelming force. They had called for peace. Humanity had answered with thunder. The aftermath was silent. Krell warships drifted in the void, their crews in custody aboard human vessels. The Velran homeworld still burned in places, but the bombardment had stopped. Relief ships from a dozen species now moved toward the planet, carrying aid that could finally be delivered safely. In the council chamber, Speaker Ven called an emergency session. Every delegate attended. The humans had done what seemed impossible. They had ended a military conflict in less than an hour. Now the galaxy needed to understand what that meant. Captain Marcus Webb stood before the council via holographic link. He had refused to leave his ship. There was still work to do. Prisoners to process, Krell systems to secure, Velran survivors to protect. Captain Webb. Speaker Ven began carefully. The council acknowledges your effectiveness, however your methods were extremely violent. We must discuss whether such actions align with galactic law. Marcus raised an eyebrow. The Krell murdered civilians. They ignored diplomatic channels. They refused to surrender until faced with overwhelming force. What part of our response violated your laws? The scale of destruction was minimal, Marcus interrupted. We disabled their ships. We targeted weapons and engines. We took prisoners instead of killing them. If we had wanted destruction, that fleet would be debris. We showed restraint. The word hung in the air. Restraint. What the humans had done, the precision, the speed, the controlled violence, was them holding back. A delegate from the Forex species spoke up. Your world is classified as a Class 12 death world. We are beginning to understand what that means. But Captain, why are humans so prepared for war? Most species evolved beyond such barbarism. Marcus was quiet for a moment. You want to know why Earth made us this way? He gestured, and an image appeared, Earth rotating slowly. Beautiful blues and greens, white clouds swirling across continents. This is our home. It looks peaceful, doesn't it? Marcus's voice was steady. But Earth has gravity that crushes most species. Weather systems that can destroy cities in hours. Diseases that evolve faster than we can cure them. Predators that hunt in coordinated packs. Insects that carry deadly plagues. Plants that can kill with a touch. More images appeared. Hurricanes, earthquakes, volcanic eruptions, tsunamis. We evolved swimming in oceans filled with predators. We climbed trees to escape animals that could tear us apart. We learned to work together because alone we died. Every single day on Earth was a test of survival. Marcus paused, and then we became the apex predators. We learned to think, to plan, to create weapons. But Earth never stopped trying to kill us. So we built cities that could withstand earthquakes. We created medicine to fight diseases. We developed technology to predict storms. We did all of this while fighting wars among ourselves. Elder Torin stepped forward. Your species fought itself? For thousands of years, Marcus confirmed. Tribes, nations, empires, all competing for resources, territory, survival. We nearly destroyed ourselves multiple times. But we learned. We unified. We took all that knowledge of conflict and violence and we finally turned it outward. When we reached the stars, we hoped to find peace. And we did find peaceful species. Good people like the Velran. Marcus's expression hardened. But we also found predators like the Krell, species who saw peace as weakness, who took advantage of civilizations that had forgotten how to defend themselves. Speaker Ven's crystalline form pulsed slowly. So you became the galaxy's warriors? No, Lisa Grant spoke up from Earth's delegation. We became the galaxy's protectors. There's a difference. Warriors seek conflict. We seek peace. But we understand something your paradise worlds never taught you. Real peace isn't just the absence of violence. It's the presence of those willing to stand against violence. The Velran called for help, Marcus added. They begged for aid. And you offered them what you could. Medicine, food, shelter. All good things. All necessary. But none of it would matter if the Krell continued their attack. Someone had to stop the violence. Someone from a world that understood violence. The council chamber was completely silent now. So yes, Marcus continued. Earth is a death world. It made us hard. It made us dangerous. It gave us capabilities that terrify you. But it also taught us the value of life. Because we've seen how easily it can be taken. It taught us the cost of peace. Because we've paid that cost in blood for millennia. He looked directly at Speaker Ven. You can debate our methods. You can question our violence. But those Velran cities that are still standing, those civilians who are still alive, that's because humanity answered your call. Not with words, not with negotiations, but with the one thing the Krell understood: strength. War Master Drek, bound in a holding cell aboard a human ship, watched the transmission. His pride was broken. His fleet was captured. His conquest had ended in utter defeat. The humans had crushed the Krell dominion with barely any effort, and they had done it while protecting the very people the Krell had tried to destroy. Drek finally understood. The galaxy had been peaceful not because species were enlightened, but because they had never faced a true predator. The Krell had filled that role for years, taking advantage of soft civilizations. But Earth had sent its own predators, apex hunters from a world that had refined violence into an art form over millions of years. And these predators protected the weak instead of consuming them. It changed everything. Speaker Ven finally spoke. What does Earth want in return for its protection? Marcus smiled slightly. The same thing we've always wanted: peace, real peace. The kind that lasts because those who would break it know there are consequences. And you will be those consequences? When necessary, Marcus confirmed. We don't want an empire. We don't want conquest. But we'll stand between the innocent and those who would harm them. That's the Deathworld's gift to the galaxy. The Council voted that day to create a new position, the Galactic Defense Force, with Earth as its primary military coordinator. Not because the galaxy wanted warriors, but because they finally understood the truth. Peace was not weakness. But peace without strength was merely a pause before the next attack. Humanity, forged in Earth's crucible of survival, would provide that strength. They had called for peace. Humanity had responded with the only peace that could endure, one protected by those who understood the cost of its absence. The Deathworld had spoken. The galaxy had listened.